Today I'm going to talk about the Nike Zoom Pegasus 35 after 270 miles. With Sunday's long run, I was able to pass the 270 mile mark in the Pegasus 35 Turbo. This is one of my favorite shoes. The Pegasus line, I'm a huge fan of. I've been running in it since the 32. I ran in the 33, the 33 Shield, the 34, the 34 Shield, the 35, and the 35 Pegasus Turbo. And I've enjoyed all of those shoes. I think this is one of the best in the series. It's not as loose in the toe box as the 34 was. It seems to fit me really well, and I like what they're doing with the full length zoom pocket in the shoe. Now, in terms of overall wear on the shoe, the cushlon is definitely getting a little bit of wrinkles in it. That's just how this cushioning, this foam performs. It's not as wrinkled as you might expect or see in the Pegasus Turbo and the Zoom X foam that's in there, but there is going to be some wrinkles. I don't think that means that this foam is somehow worn out or has lost its life. There's still plenty of life left in these. I'd say that there's at least 40 to maybe 50 more miles left in this shoe, but I'm gonna leave it right here just because for me, out of an abundance of caution, just in case there isn't, I don't want to risk running on a shoe that's kind of dead. And typically for me, once I hit that 270 mark, a little bit after that, that's when, if I keep running in that shoe, I'm gonna start experiencing some pain and discomfort that I normally don't feel from running, and I usually attribute that to the shoe needing to be replaced. And I know a lot of you guys out there are getting like 500 miles on every pair of shoe that you guys wear. I wish I could get that kind of performance out of my shoes, but I just don't. For me, like 275 to 300, I definitely need to replace a pair of shoes. Not that I haven't had shoes that lasted longer. I ran in the Saucony Ride GTXs all winter long. I think I had like 330, 340 miles in those before I finally retired them. And I only retired them because it got too warm to run in them anymore because they were a winter shoe. But I definitely could have still run in them if I needed to. In terms of how it felt running in these, I don't feel kind of like the springiness of the Zoom Air Pocket anymore. That usually goes away within the first 50 miles or so, but I do feel like it's still there, or maybe it's just a testament to how well cushlon performs over time. But I still feel like there's plenty of support in this shoe, enough to keep me going and feeling good running in the shoe. I ran that last run I ran, that 20 miler. It was on a lot of country roads, so mostly paved concrete or asphalt, but a lot of it, about half of it, was on gravel roads. And some of the rocks, I definitely felt like they were poking through. I mean, they weren't literally poking through, but I do feel like they were kind of poking through on the bottom of my foot. I could definitely feel them, to the point that I found myself trying to like look down and avoid some of like the spikier rocks. So that's just something to be aware of, that after 270 miles, the shoe is starting to kind of lose some of that ability to protect my feet. In terms of the outsole is holding up really well. This year they did something new with it. They had kind of a perforated outsole, so that way there wasn't quite as much rubber weighing the shoe down. The cushlon that's underneath here is doing really well. It doesn't appear to be too damaged, except for down here by the heel where it's just a little bit more exposed. Kind of a couple of little like poke marks, probably from the run yesterday, that are evident here. In terms of the wear on the rubber, I'm getting a lot of wear right here. So this part is completely flat in this little pocket right here. which is pretty typical for the way that my foot strikes as I'm running. The wear here, though, looks a little bit more worn than what I'm typically used to seeing, but not substantially so. The more interesting wear pattern is up here. What's going on right here on the transition between this like more tire tread kind of shape area and the pentagon lugs over here, is right at that transition. I'm experiencing a lot of wear all the way from kind of like the ball of my foot area, or kind of where the pads of my foot are, all the way up to the toe. Whereas normally on a Pegasus, I'll get a lot more wear right here, right under the ball of my foot. So a little bit different. There's still a lot of rubber on there, and if I wanted to and needed to run in the shoe for another week or so, I definitely could do that. Overall, it's holding up really well. The one area where this shoe has been quite a disappointment is with heat, and as a result, stinkiness. Whatever this material is that's up here, it seems to be really hot. I think this is one of the hotter Pegasus shoes that I've run in. It's something that I noticed early on right away, and it's not all its fault. A lot of it is sweat that drips down from your body, down your leg, and into your shoe, but it definitely collects. And on longer runs like yesterday, I definitely felt like at certain points, it alternated which shoe felt squishy, and I didn't have earbuds in, so I can hear it with like every other step that there was a squish of sweat going on, and that was gross to hear. But also it leaves you with a weird sensation. Like a lot of times I'll run through puddles and get both my feet really, really wet. Love doing that. It's a lot of fun, and I don't mind the wet feet there. But when sweat pools in your foot, what it feels like to me is, one, my foot just feels a little bit heavier, and when I feel it, sometimes the sweat will drip all the way down towards the toe, and you'll feel kind of like that wet/coldness on your toe, and it feels like your toe is bleeding a little bit. Not that it hurts, but that wetness always makes me think, is my toe bleeding? And then I'll look down, and the shoe is just a completely different color because it's soaked all the way through. I'm like, okay, it's just the sweat has pooled in there. So it's been a hot shoe for me. And it's also been an incredibly smelly shoe. The sweat just doesn't evaporate quite as well. Now, in its defense, I've taken this on a couple of work trips where I've had to, on a couple of occasions, run in the morning and then almost instantly, without letting it kind of air out or dry off, stuff it into a wrapped plastic bag and throw that into a suitcase and then travel with it. Or I've had to run with it in the morning and without too much time, then wear it kind of like all day as we're working on Saturday, just because I don't like to bring multiple pairs of shoes. I'm not going to bring like a running shoe, a casual shoe, and then a dress shoe. I'll just bring the two, and sometimes I have to wear this more than I might normally do if I were home, and so that just doesn't give it as much time to relax. And I feel like this summer, this shoe has had the most of that kind of non-recovery time, if you want to think about shoes and sweat in those kinds of terms. And so I forgive it a little bit, but I also think that because it is such a hot shoe, whatever this material is that makes it hot is also holding on to the sweat, which is then making it stink. And so that's one area where I'm extremely disappointed in the shoe, and I think that it can do better, especially in an age where more and more engineered materials are being designed to let air flow and odors evaporate and things like that. I don't know why this one is so hot. But in terms of like the fit and the flywire system, all those other good things that I like about the Pegasus, all those things are really doing very well. So overall, I'm extremely happy about this shoe. And the only thing that I'm really perplexed about is, do I get another one? And so it's still at like the height of marathon training season. And so I'm gonna need some more shoes to run in. There's a lot of other shoes that are on my list of shoes that I'd like to get to, a lot of the ones that you guys have been asking me for. So I'd like to get to those, but it's just, I can't imagine not having a Pegasus in my active rotation. So I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around that. But I guess that also too is a testament to how much I really like this shoe. So let me know if you have any questions about how this shoe is holding up at the 270 mile mark. This is the last video that I'll make for this shoe in terms of how it's holding up in terms of durability. There isn't like a 350 mile or a 400 mile video because I never get that far in a shoe. Thanks so much, you guys, for watching this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?